ただいまの決まり手は突き落とし。
はっきよいはっきよいお相撲はっきよいはっきよいお相撲
Hello and welcome to Sumo Mainichi's live stream of Juryo, the great division, the best division, a fantastic second division of sumo. This is Nagoya Basho in July of 2023. My name's Amy and I'm here with Dave. And sumo, it's back.
It's back. Sumo running along the beach in slow motion. We're running towards it in slow motion.
I've got my arms outstretched.
Arms outstretched, waves crashing, the focus is soft. Sumo coming slowly but also quickly into our warm embrace. Welcome back, Sumo. We've missed you.
And we've missed everyone out there as well. All of you sumo heads, welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the chat.
Corey and Siggy.
Hell yeah. How are you guys?
So how good is it that Sumo's back? It's always that first rush on day one. And especially it kicks in for me with Juryo coming up now as we see the second last Makushita bout against, we've got Korakuzan, a.k.a. Kenneth Jasper, old friend of the Juryo division, up against Takahashi today.
Takahashi from Nishonoseki Baya. So he's someone who, as a fan of that stable, there is his oyakata. Hair styled today, actually, is what I'm noticing right there. That's a different style. The front bit is going around and back.
Yeah, I love it.
Not just back.
I like that he's let the sides grow out a bit. He was rocking a very aggressive fade.
Yes.
Immediately after his retirement and his move into an oyakata position. Love to see the sides grow out a bit there, though.
Well, he'll be staring down, lasering down Takahashi here. It must be so hard to come out, have to sit beside him, feel the waves coming off him. You better win, you better win. He's a sweaty boy. Korakuzan today because it is hot in Nagoya.
We are in the middle of a Japanese summer. It's 29 degrees Celsius, 85 degrees Fahrenheit and humid.
You can see all the fans coming out. We'll become very familiar with the fans over the next 15 days. Takahashi comes forward. Korakuzan's trying to pull him down. That's what he likes to do. But Takahashi is staying solid. He's got the legs firmly apart, but he's in trouble now on the bails, but he comes back at Korakuzan, and that is a great recovery and a great win on day one for Takahashi.
He would be absolutely thrilled with that. Korakuzan, he's no stranger to Makuuchi. He's a stranger to getting a Kachikoshi in the top division, though.
No good.
He was up there
No
for
there.
2 Basho at the start of 2022. But he knows that he's a Juryo Rikishi, and hopefully we get to see him back sometime soon. But for Takahashi, what a great way to open the account on day one.
Absolutely. Takahashi, he has only been in sumo for a couple of years, since July 2022, and he's rocketed up the charts, as you say. He's just gone 6-1, 6-1 over his last 2 Basho, and so he's got to be, he's at Makushita 4 now, he's got to be a real Juryo possibility next time around if he keeps up that sumo. You
would think so. So this brings us to our final bout of Makushita before the Juryo action gets started. That's a name very familiar to us, Tochi Musashi.
Yep.
He's had a few campaigns in Juryo over the last 12 or so months. Hasn't had a lot of luck apart from that sensational 11-4 Yusho from Juryo 14 back in September last year. But since then, he went 3 consecutive Bashos with quite terrible scores, 7-8, 4-11, 4-11. He has worked his way back to Makushita 2 here. That's why we see him fighting right at the end of the card on day one. He'd be looking to get back in Juryo and change that record up a bit.
We're noticing a new thing here with Abema, that when a Rikishi from a couple of bouts time comes on, they put their stats up. They don't usually do that, do they?
No, they don't. And
Is it confusing?
well, it's confusing, firstly. And secondly, I feel like Abema's still bedding down the fundamentals of video production.
Yeah, they might have the intern in on day one with some fresh new ideas again, I think.
Look, I'm a big supporter, and you know it, I've said it before, of the Abema intern program. You let them have a go of the graphics, you give them control of one of the cameras and vision switching. It really is about supporting that next generation of sumo producers. So hats off to them for that work. So we see this is the final bout in Makushita. Kiryuko down first. And he's up and under Tochi Musashi and easily takes him off the doyo there. Wow, Tochi Musashi. Not a lot of sumo from him today.
No, Kiryuko, the 20-year-old from Tatsunami Bay, just launched him off the doyo there. It's good to see a nice flying Rikishi this early in the Basho. Flying straight off the doyo there. How is everyone? How's everyone feeling about this Basho? We've just heard the news that Kirishima is out Kyujo. So Kirishima as in Kiribiyama, new name. I think I'm getting the change, but it won't help this time him being out and not being able to say Kirishima every day. But he's got real back problems. The ribs,
he
are
certainly
very
does.
painful.
It's going to be a big problem for him. Coming into Ozeki, this is the time when he should be enjoying his success. And now, all of a sudden, he's out. And so what was the prognosis there?
I think it was 3 weeks treatment. So it seems like he will only miss one tournament and then be back in September. But he'll be Kyujo, your first tournament as Ozeki. And this has happened quite a few times. Kataban. So the pressure's on straight away. And you would think that if he was back in full force, he would have no trouble getting those 8 wins. But still,
yeah,
it's
that's
not ideal.
True. It's not ideal. And as we've been saying, and I like saying it every time, the Sanyaku is very competitive. So it's extremely difficult for Ozeki at the best of times.
We were really looking forward to having 2 Ozeki as well. We haven't had it for a while. And, Takakeisho is obviously out as well. So we've gone from having 2 to having 0.
Yeah,
we've been denied.
Not very good at all. Don't worry if you can see our logo on the screen at the moment. We're just waiting for some ads to play out. And we don't want to get this stream taken down. So I think it's a little safer if we just block those for now.
How is everyone? Hey, Daniel. Hey, Tabby, Siggy and Corey. A re-hello. You guys deserve 2 hellos. You're going to stay up late tomorrow and ruin Keiko tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to be pretty hard to get up and represent, although it always looks like you're able to do it. Always looks like a whole lot of fun on Sundays at Dallas Sumo Club.
Well, here it is. This is the first bout of Juryo. We have Toki Hayate up against Chionoumi.
Yep.
Toki Hayate, he's the 26-year-old from Tokitsukaze Bay.
Yep. Our mate Short Eye's stable.
And we've often
he owns it.
We've often said when you watch Toki Hayate fight, you can see that Short Eye polish. You can see that he's learnt from the best. Loves going on the back foot and just seeing what happens.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so he's come down to Makushita. We have to have a Makushita visitor this time around on day 1 and throughout. If no one else pulls out, we'll always have a Makushita visitor in Juryo because Fuji Seion is Kyujo, unfortunately for him. Chionoumi, he's taken straight backwards by Toki Hayate. He's done forwards sumo today. Toki Hayate has picked up him a win on day 1 and looking quite happy with it.
Well, with some very unshort eye sumo there, sometimes I think it's good to take the teachings of the master, but then also ignore them.
Yeah.
And we saw that today. Very positive sumo, as we'll see on the replay here from Toki Hayate. Very, very fast out of the blocks. Missed the belt grab with the right hand, but just ducked the head, committed the body, and poor old Chionoumi, no answers there.
I feel like he should have been more ready there, Chionoumi. It's his first time back in Juryo since 2021 May. He should know that the standard goes up, even though he was up against a Makushita visitor. He wasn't quite ready, and he was totally outsmarted, outspeeded there.
Welcome to the chat, Caleb and Scott. So good to have you along this afternoon / this morning, depending on where you're listening from. The next bout of the day, a beautiful piece of programming from the JSA, sees two Juryo debutantes, Yuma and Shiden. No, I'm wrong about Shiden.
No.
I'm right about
he
Shiden.
He came up to Juryo before.
Ah, that's true.
But he did his little whoopsie. He went gambling with his mate Hidenumi, got in trouble, got pulled straight out of Juryo. That was the basho that he couldn't compete, and so it went back down, and now he's back. So.
Okay, so I'm right in this is the first time we've seen Shiden fight in Juryo.
In Juryo, yep.
Sumo teaches you the power of forgiveness, and Shiden, we forgive you. But let's have a look at Yuma today. The 25-year-old from Osaka. He's at Onomatsu Heya. Been around sumo for quite a long time. Made his debut back in 2014. And now finds himself in 2023, some 9 years later, making his debut. After a great run up through Makushita. No stranger of that division, but he's just strung a couple of 5-2s together at the right time. Sneaks into Juryo. I'm looking forward to seeing him go around.
Absolutely. And Shiden, as we mentioned, came up in January of 2022. It was not to be. And in fact, he is quite close to his mate Hidenumi. Hidenumi's fighting in the very next bout on the west side as well. So he's been sitting alongside him on that side of the dojo. But no hint of extracurricular activities this time around from Shiden. He will have a straight up first day fight against Yuma. Now I do have to ask, is anyone tonight or today sinking some tinnies? That's for you, Siggy. In Australia, we call cans tinnies. It's worse if you explain it.
Yeah.
We got a couple of bottles this time of Sapporo and some sake as well, so no tinnies in the house, but geez, we love them.
Well, as we see the record of Yuma last time, a good spread of kimarete. A bit concerning there that his number one kimarete was Hataki Komi. He did that twice. We don't know the details behind it, so let's just say that it was a mid-bout slapdown.
Yep.
Looks like the Gyoji has called them. They are ready to go here. Yuma moves around to the side. He's on the defensive as Shiden powers forward with those thrusting attacks. Shiden looking for the belt, but it's Yuma who's able to react quickly. Gee, that footwork was beautiful there from Yuma, just to rotate around and take Shiden over, I'm guessing, Oshidashi.
Really good from Yuma there. Shiden tried to pull him down at the end on the bails, but he was way too close to him, and Yuma was able to just continue that push across. Stepping around here to his right, the crab walk that gets you in a fantastic position there up under Shiden's arms, and just not being yanked around at that last minute shows really great stability from Yuma, and that's a win for him.
Oh, we saw Shiden with both knees heavily strapped there.
Yeah.
He certainly looked slow out there.
Well, he is 31 years old, so taking that extra time to get back to Juryo again has hurt him a little bit. I mean, that's a couple of years again. He's no longer in his 20s. You can still achieve great things in your 30s, as many Rikishi have shown us, many still active. But maybe those knees are starting to fade out a little bit.
The next bout of the day, another debutante. Kiho X, I want to say Kawazoe.
Kawazoe.
With
the best name. He gave up the best name.
Oh, Kiho's starting to grow on me there. And what a beautiful silhouette he cuts against the Nagoya crowd. Left leg pointed straight up in the air. The hair slicked back. The sideburns established.
He looks great, doesn't he?
He certainly looks very strong in the upper body, Kiho, but let's not ignore downstairs either. They're very powerful looking legs.
Huge thighs.
And I'll tell you what, if I was Hidenumi today, I would be low-key worried.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if Hidenoumi was high-key worried here, because this guy from Miyagi-no-Beya is very strong, very powerful. Slotted into sumo at that upper point that you can come into if you're really, really good. That's the way I've started to describe it.
And on the screen here, he was his high school yokozuna,
Yep.
Kiho, and was called Small Hakuho.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well,
Wonder
they
what-
might have to come up with another Hakuho name now, because Hakuoho is already taken. So is he going to be actual Hakuho? Although I've heard that Ochiai, now Hakuoho, will eventually become Hakuho as well. That's another
God,
possibility.
It's so complicated.
It's very complicated.
Well, I've written and said that Haku Kiho is the right name.
Haku Kiho. That's nice, actually.
Pretty good, isn't it?
That's probably what it will be. I think you've done it.
Oh, I've done it. I've cracked it.
Well, I'm glad you wrote it in, because popped it on a postcard. Just that word, just sent directly to Miyagi-no-Beya. Hidenoumi, the right elbow is strapped. He is, I was going to say he's getting to the end of his career, but who knows? He absolutely may well not be. I'm very sorry. Public apology there to you, Hidenoumi. But he is 34 years old from Kisebeya. Been in sumo since 2012 and has been struggling, languishing in Juryo now since March 2022.
Is that when he took his enforced break? No, that was 2021.
No, that was January 2022.
Right,
Yep.
okay.
So that was after that.
Yeah, he never quite came back from there, did he?
No. Highest rank is Magashira 6.
Wow. Okay.
I'm sure he has a desire to get back up there. Kiho is down low. He goes low against a much larger Hidenoumi, and they lock up a bit. Kiho's right arm is up underneath Hidenoumi's armpit. That's usually a good position, but it's hard to move the big man, and Kiho elects instead to get the right hand on the belt on the inside. Hidenoumi is alternating between locking up his arm and reaching for the belt with his left hand. He's not able to get it. He stands Kiho up. Kiho mounting an absolute defense on the bales here. He almost does it, but he's forced to step to his right and has to step out.
Wow, what an interesting bout as we see Kiho's hair all over the place. A valiant effort on the bales there. Gotta say, I thought Hidenoumi looked very, very good here.
He did.
As we'll see in the replay here, this lockup was especially dangerous for Hidenoumi. He had the right hand of Kiho on his belt. As we take a replay of this effort, Kiho hauling, trying to move Hidenoumi laterally there, but it wasn't to be. A Yorikiri win there for Hidenoumi. Oh, that was a good bout.
It really was. I probably haven't seen enough of Kiho's sumo yet. I'm interested in everyone's opinions on this, because that didn't feel to me like the situation he necessarily wanted to get himself into, because it did force the smaller man in a bit of a tricky position there, if Hidenoumi was on his game, which he obviously was.
Yeah,
So
certainly was, wasn't he?
I think Kiho would be looking to do a different style of sumo on day 2 there.
Welcome to the chat, Lewis.
Hey, from Auckland. Nice.
Beautiful part of the world. The debutantes, they keep on coming. We have Shishi up next, up against Tsushimanara. Shishi, of course, from Ukraine.
And with a new Mawashi colour, the dark blue that everyone's been looking forward to seeing. Lovely colour.
Now, remind me, Shishi's colour before,
It was light oh.
blue? Maybe someone in the chat could help us
Yeah,
out there.
what was his colour before? Was it black? No, because that would be too close.
Would be too close. I feel it was a lighter colour.
Yeah. Tsushimanara in the beautiful silver. I love the silver Mawashi. If I was in sumo, I would choose a silver Mawashi. He's kept himself, clawed himself back into the Juryo ranks, getting 8 and 7 in, we're in July now. What was before? May. That's right. At Juryo 14. And going up with an 8-7 to Juryo 11. So the Banzuke gods smiling on Tsushimanara. They like the silver as well. They have blessed him with a Juryo 11 position, and he'll be wanting to come back a little bit after his terrible 4-11 in March. He's on the rise again.
Shishi, it has only taken a few years for this man to make his debut in Juryo. Started January 2020 and has made a bit of an impact, I think, on the hearts of sumo fans around the world. Lots to like about his sumo. Did I say that he's 26 years old?
I can't remember.
Well,
but say it again.
Let's say it
it's
again.
It's a great stat.
Because it does show that he has a lot of sumo ahead of him. A couple of great basho coming into this one. He went 5-2 in January, 6-1 in March, and 6-1 in May.
We saw him in Osaka. He was one of the first rikishi that we saw, and it wasn't outside the prefectural gymnasium or anything. It was just near the station as we were off to catch a train, and he just popped out with a couple of tsukebito, and
you were very quick
like,
to...
Shishi.
Well, I think you can take credit for that.
Yeah, I know his face.
All right, looks like the Gyoji is ready to go. As the hush falls over the crowd, Shishi down first. Tsushimada throws the shoulder, but Shishi cleverly slaps as Tsushimada approaches. And that's an easy win. Day one. Getting a win as a debutante, the monkey's off the back.
Yes, the monkey's just out on the street. You have ejected that monkey and you're ready to go then. And that was a great win, I thought. It was really controlling to get that right hand on the shoulder and the neck. It was actually pushing down with the neck, wasn't it? And then getting the whole big, huge body behind that push. That's strong.
Very strong. And I think the most encouraging thing about that bout, Shishi watched Tsushimada
Yeah, good point.
so carefully and quickly locked eyes on his target there, kept the awareness so that he was ready for when that approach came.
Look at those. What are those shoulder bits called on Shishi? The deltoids, are they?
Deltoids.
The big shoulder bits. Very, very strong guy. And now we have Mr. Sumo in resplendent green coming up against... I'm also going to use resplendent orange of Shimano Umi. A couple of guys who have been in the scene for a long time. Have been up in Makuuchi for a long time and now have been in Juryo for quite a long time as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're mainstays now, aren't they, these two? Chiyomaru, he's 30, I want to say 32, yeah, he's 32 years old. Been in sumo a very, very long time. Made his debut back in 2007. Highest rank, Maegashira 5. I mean, they were simpler times, weren't they?
Yeah, I'm imagining it now. Just great days.
Back in 2018, things were good.
Fighting against the joy.
Well,
Just
yeah.
getting everyone up against him. Oli, Sanyaku would have been great.
Although at Juryo 11 now, Chiyomaru finds himself at his lowest rank. And I'm just going back here since May 2016. Certainly in the danger zone. Needs a positive result, this basho, to continue his time in the paid ranks and continue in that important ambassador role of Mr. Sumo.
I mean, he needs to start thinking about a successor, as do we, but we are not even touching on that this time around with our minds because we will not give up Chiyomaru as Mr. Sumo right now. If you haven't heard about Mr. Sumo before, and I think probably everyone in this chat has, it is the absolute embodiment of sumo, and we believe that Chiyomaru is that. Shimano Umi, is he hoping that he's still going to get back to Makuuchi, do you think?
Absolutely not.
You think he's given up a little bit?
He's given up, yeah.
Just existing in Juryo for now?
I think so. I mean, Shimano Umi is capable of so much. And I think on a good day, could knock over anyone in this Juryo crowd. It's just he runs hot and cold.
Yeah, he really does. He got a kachikoshi in May. So he's keeping it real. He's keeping it happening after 2 5-10s in a row. But, you know, he's not sliding down as we've seen some people, Tokushoryu, do.
Well, that was his first kachikoshi in over a year. for
Yeah.
Shimanumi. So that was actually a very, very important result for him.
That's a positive step, though, isn't it? That, to me, means he hasn't given up on at least staying in the second division for a little while longer. I like him. I'm a Shimanumi fan. Bit of a battle of the hearts here between Mr. Sumo Chiyomaru and Shimanumi. Juryo 11 and Juryo 10 respectively. And it is time to go. Shimanumi, that's his family. I'm not sure. I hope it is.
You were very confident about that. I believed you.
I love to imagine it's their family. Chiyomaru, he is up. He's on the neck of Shimanumi, trying to pull him down, but Shimanumi doesn't go out, but he's off balance enough that Chiyomaru can push him out, and in doing so, Shimanumi knocks over quite a few things down off the doyo, and Mr. Sumo, he's got himself one.
Well, I tell you what a positive way for Chiyomaru to open this Nagoya Basho. And as we take the replay here, look at the footwork, look at the speed on this guy. He absolutely outpaces Shimanumi here with just more actions per minute. More sumo in those 10 seconds than his opponent. And I love to see Chiyomaru's footwork on display. It's when he looks his best.
Yep, high SPS right there, sumo per second. And the good thing was when he got Shimanumi off balance, he came back really quickly.
Yeah.
I think sometimes there can be a bit of a delay there if you're not in form. You can not realise, or you can just not get that footwork happening quick enough to come back at your opponent to take advantage of that. But he absolutely did then, as you said. Great SPS.
The next bout of the day is Chiyo Sakae up against Tomokaze. Chiyo Sakae at Juryo 10 is fighting at his equal highest rank. He was there back in November last year. And has had some middling results, let's say, but great to see him in Juryo again after that 8-7 at Juryo 12 last time. He's got a chance to really cement himself in what some people say is the most exciting division of sumo.
Yep.
And that person is me.
I also like to say it. Chiyo Sakae's opponent is Tomokaze from Nishonoseki Beya, one of my favourites. He has been staying in Juryo. That's how I'm going to put it. He's come to Juryo and he's stayed there on his return, which is a really good thing for someone who has been very injured and is really clawing his way back, I think, in terms of his injury. He came up to 13, went 8-7, stayed at 12, went 8-7, absolutely catapulted up to Juryo 9.
And we can't overstate the courage of Tomokaze.
Yeah.
An injury so bad that for all intents and purposes, he's not very mobile in his day-to-day life.
Yep.
Still goes out there and does his sumo. Welcome to the chat, Rob. Blessing the chat with talk of a 15-0 Zen show win for Mr. Sumo. And I mean, you got to love that positivity.
Absolutely. I want to see it. I would love to see that. Monster Dong 420, you're back. So great to see you as well. Manny, hello. Thanks so much for coming and listening to our Juryo coverage. The best division, the second division, where we see Chiyo Sakae at Juryo 10 up against Tomokaze at Juryo 9. Yeah, that right foot, as you say, just all bandaged up. It does not work, that foot.
No, I mean...
Doesn't work at all.
We said it last time, he actually carries a disability card. And his reason for being out there is to be an inspiration to kids. God, I feel this guy so much. All right, Georgie looks ready to set them up against each other. Chiyo Sakae on the left of your screen, Tomokaze on your right. Little different camera angle there from Obema. We love that. We appreciate it. Chiyo Sakae comes forward, Tomokaze pulls, and that's all he needs to do. Calmly steps back and sends Chiyo Sakae to the ground. Something looked a little off about that touchy eye of Chiyo Sakae.
Yeah, was the timing out there? I couldn't quite tell if perhaps that was a bit of a mata from Chiyo Sakae. Did he not think they were going? Oh, it was all right. Tomokaze, gee, he thought quickly because he was at the disadvantage at that touch eye. Chiyo Sakae's touch eye was actually very good. And I think there was a tiny bit of luck involved there. Maybe Chiosakaya wasn't watching properly and he ended up being thrust down. But I will not deny Tomokaze a win there.
Well, the next bout of the day is Daiamami up against Aqua. We know that Daiamami's super fan, aka Daiamami,
Yep.
is in attendance today. She saw Daishomaru win
Yep.
a little earlier,
Yep.
so can she get a double for the boys today?
I was absolutely tricked. I saw a Daishomaru banner and I said, oh, look, someone's supporting Daishomaru. I should have known straight away who it was. She's right up the back and she'll be supporting her man Daiamami, who is up against, I'm going to call him the great man Aqua, who has blessed sumo with his personality, with his style, with the things he loves to do, with his presence. You always see the coverage after each basho. He's there at the Senchiraku parties just having a great time, saying hello to people.
I'm part of a few dark web sumo chats. We use Signal.
Oh, yeah.
It's encrypted. He's often referred to as the Clown Prince. What do you think of that?
I don't mind it.
Don't
what does
mind
he
it?
think of that?
Well,
Any word on the
No.
dark web about that?
No, he hasn't. He's not interested in replying. Yeah, I mean, I think it's an affectionate nickname, and it speaks to the fun and the possibility that he brings.
It's a little bit year 11 girls' school. To be honest, as someone who went to a girls' school,
does
and
that
they're like,
mean?
no, it's a term of endearment. We love calling you the absolute weird nerd. You know, that's cool. Clown Prince.
The Clown
you know.
Prince. No, I think it's very respectful. What can he do this time? I mean, Aqua, he's capable of anything.
What Kimarite is he going to commit to?
Well,
What movement around the dojo?
not just commit to, but promote. And promote awareness of.
Yes.
I mean, you could have asked people 18 months ago what kakanage was, and people go, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's probably like 10 to 12 Kimarite that I could really explain. Like, off the top of my head, I could explain clearly. And kakanage is one of them.
Yeah.
Who's that due to?
Well,
This
it's
man.
this guy. Because it wasn't the kakanages that he won with. It was the ones he failed
It was
with.
the kakanages along the way.
Along the way. We love you, Aqua.
Juryo,
All good.
8. I mean, it's not too bad for him. Things have not really been that worse, actually. This is the worst things have been.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
He's been down to 7.
Oh, and of course, he's
There she
bringing the
is.
salt throw back while Abema takes
Ah.
a shot of Daiamami. Here it is.
Oh my gosh, I had forgotten this.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about it too.
Yes.
I mean, this has so many layers that I don't think we could possibly start to unpack.
Look, sometimes I'm upset that my memory fails me sometimes, but to have forgotten that that's happened and be reacquainted with Aqua taking over the huge salt throw, that is a joy of this Sunday for me.
The Clown Prince doing what he does best.
Here we go. Aqua waiting to go down, but he will eventually settle down first. Daiamami just sweeping away some of the copious amounts of salt with his feet so that he can get a little bit of purchase. Aqua, a wiggle before he starts. Bit of a stare off here. Fiddling around. Aqua comes in hard. He goes quite low. Daiamami tries to push him down, but Aqua doesn't go. It slaps back and forth here, and then eventually Aqua, he just kind of crumbles. They were really darting at each other there. Something was going to go wrong eventually. Oh, he's covered in dirt.
He's absolutely covered. That wasn't pretty sumo from either of these. Rikishi here. Aqua seemed to respond in kind when Daiamami... Was it Daiamami who went for that opening play? Let's just have a look at the replay here. Yeah, so we see Daiamami pull. Aqua thinks that's a great idea. Had an opportunity as he opened Diamami up, but perhaps just underestimated the power that Diamami can generate off a very...
He's so strong.
Yeah, he's incredibly strong, incredibly stable. Oshitaoshi win, that's frontal crush down. Double win for Diamami superfan.
Yes. She's having the best day of her life. Very cool for her.
So I was just going to say, as
No,
we
go for it.
settle into the Akua salt throw,
Yeah.
how's it feeling for you?
It's so fresh. I really can't explain enough how surprising that was to me. I had totally forgotten.
Yeah. It was controversial last time around when he hauled that salt in the air. Obviously, that was Terutsuyoshi calling card. Akua saw an absence of hype in Juryo. He's filled that space. What would happen if Terutsuyoshi came back?
Yeah, well, this is my question, really. I mean, usually with those kind of really distinctive things, either A, you want to find your own. So there's really no... there's a little bit of shame, perhaps, in taking over somebody else's signature move. It's a bit weird. You've got to find your own signature move. But the other thing is how quickly he did it. He didn't even wait for Terutsuyoshi to be gone for more than a couple of basho before he's like, big salt, I'll do it.
I wonder whether we couldn't get some brainstorming on going on other things he could do with a big handful of salt. I mean, something about
He could
turning...
smother it on his body.
He could. He could turn around
some.
180 degrees and just haul it into the crowd.
I mean, that would be a signature
That would be
move.
nice.
That might get you ejected from the stadium.
Or what
pretty
about
quick.
holding it in your hands and just chomping a big mouthful
Yeah,
of it?
chomping it. That's
Yeah,
what I
chomping.
reckon. I think that would be a good one.
Lots of options. Running it through your hair,
Yeah.
like a dry shampoo.
Yeah, just showering it down on you.
Oh, yeah.
yourself. Oh, it's one of your
it's
absolute
Taka
faves here.
Kento.
The big guy. Taka Kento up against Churino Umi. It's a 6-2 record between these two. Taka Kento's way.
Certainly is Churino Umi, the 30-year-old from Okinawa on your screen at the moment. Yeah, we've got Juryo 7 versus Juryo 8. A few Taka Kento fans in attendance today. Beautiful green banner.
Yeah, that's a nice banner, isn't it? That must be customised.
Well, I reckon it's homemade, matching the colour of his mawashi there.
That's his family.
Relatives.
I know them all by
Taka
sight.
Kento. Oh, he's shown the belly early. Hang on, this has gone. No, they're ready to go. Taka Kento's off, throwing the attacks out at Churino Umi. He's insistent here, looks for the belt. Churino Umi on the defensive, but it's all Taka Kento. Churino Umi finds a belt, spins around, gets the win. Gee, well, that was one-way traffic there for most of that bout. All happened very quickly.
Look how many tinnies have we had.
Oh, jeez, I don't know.
That really came upon me. But a win for Churino Umi. At Juryo 7, he stayed at Juryo 7 after going 7 and 8. Taka Kento tried his brand of sumo. He was flailing those arms. He was pushing forward well. But Churino Umi eventually got that left hand on the belt and was able to haul Taka Kento around with it. Half a circle and then all the way around across the bales.
I would say that Taka Kento will go home. He'll watch the replay. He did his style of sumo.
Yeah. Yeah, he gave it
He
a shot.
represented himself well, but the winner today, Churino Umi at Juryo 7. Some great suggestions in the chat. Monster Dong 420 asked the question, if Akua went down to Makushita, would another Juryo Rikishi replace him? And I think with what we have now is a rich tradition that you need to uphold.
Yeah.
Someone else would need to step into that.
Yeah, maybe this has become so much more than a signature move. Maybe this is now an iconic move of sumo. Who would be able to do a great salt throw? Who's got a big hand in Makuuchi?
But
who
it's
could take
also
over?
about, I mean, you
Dolga.
need someone who's going to do it and then lose.
yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
It can't be anyone who's on the up. I'd love to see Hidden Umi actually
That'd be
take it
someone
on.
good. Oh, yeah.
A very fresh idea from Caleb. Salt thrown from the back of the hand.
Yeah.
No, I love this idea.
How does that...
Well, you scoop the hand
flick
in,
it,
lift it
yeah.
up,
Oh,
flick it off the back of the
Oh,
hand. I
yeah.
love it. Love it.
Could you bring a little scoop?
No,
It's just sitting in your pants and nobody, your pants, your mawashi.
no, I don't.
Nobody sees it. You bring it out.
No,
Scoop
where
it
does
up.
it stop?
Bucket.
Just no, you pick the whole thing up
Sumo Mainichi bucket.
and throw it at your opponent.
Oh, the salt, yeah.
Yeah. All
Throw
right.
it at Salt Bay. All right.
We have Hakuyozan up against Azumariu. Next, two old friends of sumo.
I reckon.
Well, Hakuyozan's 28. He hasn't been around all that long.
I know we always call him older, but Azumariu, he has been around for them a while. He is 36 years
Yeah.
old from Tamanoe Beya. And last time we got a bit sick of him because he went 2-13 and looked extremely injured. You have to suggest that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wasn't
maybe it was
great.
that right knee, but yeah, it wasn't really enjoyable to watch. He was the real down point of Juryo whenever he fought.
Yeah, that's true. Hakuyozan, the reason we think he's been around forever, he made his debut in 2011 when he was 16 years old.
Yeah, wow,
Lots of sumo there.
that's 12 years. Hakuyozan, what a jaunty angle showing that he is ready to sumo. Coming slowly forward, not the world's best touchio there from either of these. Azumariu, he's being taken back, but he tries to haul Hakuyozan around with the right hand on the belt. He succeeds, and he gets Hakuyozan out.
I'm not sure if this says something about Azumariu's form or Hakuyozan's form, or maybe
Slow struggle, wasn't it?
it was a little bit. I mean, this should have been an easy win for Hakuyozan, given what we know about Azumariu's right knee. But as we take the replay here, impressive to see Azumariu absolutely put the brakes on here. Made himself very, very hard to move back. So it meant that Hakuyozan had to commit a little harder. Azumariu was ready.
Yeah, that was good, and you could see Hakuyozan there trying to dislodge Azumariu's arm, and it reminded me of that episode of Dosakoi Sumo. And if you haven't watched Dosakoi Sumo recently with the comedian guy who hosts it, and they get people on to talk about sumo, the last one I watched had Kizuna Sato, ex-Kizuna Sato, Nishonoseki Oyakata, talking about breaking grips. And they went into so much detail, and they brought up so much video footage about how he would break belt grips. He'd put his hand in a certain place, then yank and push in a certain way. And it just reminded me of how cool that is. So if you haven't seen Dosakoi Sumo, go
I
and
haven't
search
seen
for
it.
it. You haven't seen it?
I
No,
know.
it's
do
really
need to
good.
sit down and watch it.
It's really
Absolutely.
interesting.
Up next, we have Tamashoho up against Kinawaka. Now, I believe that Juryo 5 might be Tamashoho's highest rank. It is. Coming up from Juryo 11 last time, in only his second. It's only his second bout in Basho in Juryo last time. Feels like he's been around for a lot longer.
It does. I love this guy.
This is only his third Basho in this division at his highest rank. Love watching him go around.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who has arrived and he's just like, I'm here. You're like, you've always been here, surely. Doing great sumo, changing it up a bit. Really looks like he's putting his all in every single time, and just a real joy to watch.
He's 30 years old. He spent a long time in Makushita. But it was just one of those things where it felt like the body and the mind came together at the right time. And now we see him, his highest rank, nowhere near where he's going to end up, I believe.
His opponent, Kinawaka, he's 22 years old, which is an age that I often forget because he's basically the businessman inheritor from Takarafuji. He's very diligent about how he goes about his business. He's very straight line sumo. And I always think that he's been around for longer than he has. But only started sumo in 2019.
I have very strong memories of Kid Nawaka being in Makuuchi.
Yeah,
Now, these memories are false.
yeah, implanted.
But there's got to be something behind it.
Yeah,
Implanted. You whisper to me while I sleep.
he's come
Oh, they go-
forward, Kinawaka. He's Tamashoho has, whoa.
He's swamped in there. And you called him Kid Nafuji, which is
Yeah,
an interesting parallel to draw.
yeah.
Well, they're really rushing through these bouts, aren't they, today?
I'm not sure what's happening in between. I think I'm talking too much.
Let's have a look at that replay and see this bout for what is going to feel like the first time. So we see Tama Shoho low and then switches in the blink of an eye his position. Oh, geez. Legs just stayed under him long enough to see Kitanawaka down. You wouldn't call this controlled sumo from Tama Shoho, but just that raw ability comes through at the end of the day.
You don't see bouts like this very often when it's really out of control and it's sort of just about recovering some semblance of balance.
Were you talking about the Ricochet or you?
Ah. Burn. Mostly burn.
All right, well, let's move on and we're going to pay more attention here too.
I'm really going to watch how many times they've gone back this time around.
Yeah, well, look, we're having a good time.
Can somebody give us like some stars in the
but-
chat, or a big like they're about to go, or a bit like stop talking?
It's fine. On your screen at the moment, we have that's not Tohakuryu, that's Shimizu-umi. On the left of your screen, Tohakuryu, Juryo 4 and Juryo 3 respectively. Tohakuryu, he's a Tokyo boy, 27 years old. Coming off an effort he'd much rather forget. Juryo 2 last time in May. He went 4 and 11. Why is he only Juryo 4?
Yeah. Yeah. Huge question.
The Banzuke gods smiling on this young man.
Wow. When we do our Banzuke episode, we do look through Juryo and talk about it, but that absolutely escaped me. 4-11 at Juryo 2, and he's gone to Juryo 4. The Juryo puzzle must have been just like, it's all laid out on the table, and they just like must have flipped the table with how hard it was to put together, and somebody just screams, just put him at Juryo 4!
I think there was some downward pressure pushing upwards because we had 3 new people come in. That might have elevated him a bit higher.
Yeah.
Now they're not going, so we can relax.
Oh. Well, what I was going to bring up was that Enho is Kyujo again. So we saw him pull out last time around. And Chionokuni, your man, is also Kyujo as well.
As long as there's no in-tie announcement, the fire still burns in me for Chionokuni. I'm not giving up. I think he can get back.
Do you think he might in-tie during this Basho though?
No.
No.
Never in-tie.
He will not do it.
Don't do it to me, Chionokuni. All right.
Shimizu-umi, 27 years old at Hanaragoma Bayer. He went 8-7 at his highest rank of Juryo 6, and he's gone up to his new highest of Juryo 3. Very exciting for him.
Yeah, Shimizu-umi in great form this year. Tries to get around the side of Tohakuryu.
Yay.
Tohakuryu seemed a little bit insistent on trying to find that right hand on the belt, and it just left him wide open. We'll have a look at the replay here, but I feel that Tohakuryu might have played himself.
It does happen with Tohakuryu. He can be very insistent on moving backwards. Let's see if it was the case here.
Sorry, it was the left hand, I should have said, not the right hand. It was almost an insistence to move forward that was the problem here for Tohakuryu.
Well, he definitely that was a case where he got the belt grip, but wasn't able to do absolutely anything with it because Shimizu-umi had assaulted him front on and put him very much on the back foot, and there was nothing. He couldn't turn to the side. He could only move backwards, and a very definitive first win from Shimizu-umi. I like this guy, and he's on an upward trajectory. Came into Juryo in March of 2022 and has...
No way.
Yeah. Shimizu-umi.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Got a bit stuck in the middle, bit bogged down at Juryo 10.
Oh, it's a tough position.
But now he's on his way up. 7, 6, 3. Where's he going from here? We will see.
As we take the opening speech, as we see the Sanyaku and Yokozuna Terunofuji leading them up onto the doyo. The doyo looking, it's a beautiful, deep coffee brown.
It is nice colour, isn't it?
Shows there's a lot of moisture around. Well, as Abema adjusts the white balance there, we see the colour of the doyo change slightly. And again, well, you've got the intern mucking around with the contrast. And I'm cool with that.
Just zipping that slider around, like
Absolutely.
on photos where you're trying to make yourself look better. I mean, I can speak for myself. You're just like, maybe if it's real white.
Well, and I mean, it's this point that I feel absolutely robbed that we don't have two Ozeki standing out there. This is often the time where we get a great close-up of Taka Keisho's face,
Yep.
where we try to understand what the mind's been telling the body over the last 9 weeks. It's still some quality Rikishi out there. Wakamoto Haru on the right, Daisho next to him, both statistically within reach of an Ozeki promotion.
And Hoshoryu, we'll give it to you. You also can do it.
No, we should say, I don't want to come across as being negative about Hoshoryu.
No, people have accused us of it.
Yeah, this week. I guess I don't listen to our podcast, so maybe it comes across that way. But I do want to go on record to say I'm a huge Hoshoryu fan.
Yeah.
I do think he's one of the true contenders to be the next Yokozuna.
It's tough love. We want him to achieve.
Yeah. And anything that I say that might come across as negative, it comes from a place of love.
But actual love is for Wakamoto Haru. Like, he's like...
Yeah, well, I mean...
He's great. No, it's going to be fantastic this time around. I mean, should we just hand it to Terunofuji right here and now with the two Ozeki being out, or are the rest of the Sanyaku or another surprise competitor, of course,
absolutely
going to rise up to challenge him? Is Meisei going to beat Terunofuji again? How are these Sekiwake planning on getting around him, getting through him, getting under him? I don't know how they're going to do it, but I'm really keen to see.
No, and I haven't seen a lot of news about Terunofuji's preparation in the lead up to this Basho, which makes me think if there was any aggravation of the knee injuries, we would have heard about it. Look at his form last time. He just looked unstoppable.
Yep. Who does everyone want to win? Who is everyone's feeling this time around? We've got one for a Wakamoto Haru Yusho. I'd be on board for that.
And this is a safe space regarding predictions, because we can make predictions here and we'll all just forget about them unless we get them right, and then we've got evidence of it.
I will never stop saying it if I get it right.
I'm going to make a call. Hoshoryu.
Okay. Oh, that would be a surprise. I'll make a call. It's probably Terunofuji though, so it's not even worth.
I think that's fairly safe.
Ichi Yamamoto has come into the house, into the Nagoya Stadium. He is down in Juryo and no one is happy about it. It's my podcast, so I can say that. Maybe some of you are not minding, but I don't like seeing him down here, Ichi Yamamoto. He has so much flair. He has so much joy in his body and eyes for sumo. He's a special guy.
He is a very special guy, and he's a fan of sumo. So I think in that way, I feel very connected to Ichi Yamamoto.
Yeah.
Oh, we see someone necking a green tea. Absolutely.
Given to her by Ikkyoi, like yours.
Well, who's given out the teas this time?
Yeah, well, I have to say that the green tea that ex-Ikkyoi gave you is still like in pride of position sitting on the fridge.
But I did see it today and I thought, maybe I should do a live tasting of that tea.
Oh, yeah.
And talk about if I can... and maybe I could watch some Ikkyoi fights and maybe I could just freestyle. Not rap, just like stream of consciousness. Talk about what I'm feeling.
I reckon eventually that would turn into a rap.
It would.
You can rap, actually.
No, I can't, and I will not be. And while I'm saying that, at the back of my mind, I'm like, words that rhyme with Ikkyoi.
Yeah, boy!
Oh, that's pretty
Come
good.
on.
That's pretty good.
Do it.
Chamoy? What's that?
Poloi. Hoi polloi.
Joy?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Joy you could use in two ways. You could do that clever thing, when you go,
yeah.
he's the joy, but he is
not
in the
joy.
top, makes you a 5, but he's also the joy. It's
Yeah.
worse when you explain anything. I should not be explaining. Oshoma is the opponent of Ichi Yamamoto. Oshoma, super popular, but has been injured and not living up to his full potential because of that injury. You can see his right arm is very heavily taped. It is time to go. I assure you all, I am ready. Dave is ready.
I'm ready. Just sipping my tea. Ichi Yamamoto, commits too hard forward, and Oshoma quick to see Ichi Yamamoto down. I felt Ichi Yamamoto had the eyes up there.
Yeah,
I'm
he was
interested to
watching.
see what happens on the replay here. How did you see this?
A stumble forward, but I didn't think that he wasn't watching. I think you're right there. Let's see. Yeah, he was watching. Yeah, just a good. That's a good Hataki comment.
Perfect slap down there.
I'd pop that
delivered.
up as a
Yeah.
example. Perfect slap down.
Not a great start for Ichi Yamamoto there. Wouldn't feel good about that, but a very easy day one win, Hataki Komi for Oshoma. Welcome to the chat, Ben Marshman, who's
There you go.
coming at us from Shizuoka in Japan at the moment. Ben's going to be at the sumo for 7 days, did you tell me?
Yeah, for 8 days. I
8
think even.
days. The commitment on this guy.
So we'll hear Ben's first report from the Nagoya Stadium on day 8, where I believe you're going to be quite close to the front on one of the cushions. You've pulled off a bit of a
Yeah, a bit of a
coup
coup there.
in terms of where you're going to be sitting. So we'll look forward to that.
And I guess this is part of any masters by research that, you can sit there and pore over the scrolls about Henkers for as long as you like, but until you're out there seeing it with your own eyes, that's something that adds that extra layer to the eventual article that he will write for Tokyo Sports University. No, it's a PhD actually. I shouldn't say masters. PhD in Henker Science. Henker Science. Very interesting.
You can do it for Tokyo University, but you can also do it for that agricultural university that Shodai went to.
Yeah.
What about that?
I feel, their sumo program is very, very strong. I feel like they water it down too much with crop studies.
Seeds.
Yeah, seeds. Germination periods. It's the right time. How do you get the maximum yield out of a rice paddy? Don't get me wrong, they're doing incredible work with, I don't want to say genetically modified like it's a bad thing. I think it's just about, producing a consistent stock and a consistent yield. But already, if I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about sumo.
You're not talking about Henkers.
No, I'm not talking about Henkers.
More funding for sumo, I say, and we'll kick it off, that funding, with an investigation into this very bout. It is Roga up against Mitoryu.
Well, Roga coming in at his highest rank of Juryo 2. You feel like it's Roga's time.
Yep, I do feel like it's Roga's
He's
time.
standing at the door. He's rung the doorbell, and I think he's about to kick it in and say, "Hello, Makuuchi. I'm Roga."
It's me. I'd be a fan of that. His opponent is Mitoryu, who has just dropped down from the aforementioned Makuuchi. He managed to stay there this time for 3 basho, which was a real achievement for him. Congrats to Mitoryu. But the 5-10 meant it wasn't to be for any longer. So he's here to try for a re-promotion. Roga on day 1. Little bit tricky. Roga comes forward. He's on the belt straight away with the right arm, but Mitoryu comes forward, negates that belt hold entirely with the closeness of his huge body. And Roga needs to learn something from that, because that was not great.
It's very interesting, isn't it, seeing Mitoryu, I think it'd be safe to say, and I say this with no judgment, struggle in the top division. Come back to Juryo, as we take this replay here, just perfect use of the larger frame, getting his left hand on the belt, making that look very easy.
Roga had the Maimawashi there with his right
did he?
hand.
Well.
He if he was able to come forward, that would have been straight out for Mitoryu, but Mitoryu had the power there. He had the space, the position and the power.
Tim Sumo, welcome to the chat. The only man brave enough to legally change his last name to Sumo. I've seen his driver's license. Love it. That's commitment.
Final bout of Juryo.
It's bad news, isn't it?
Now, look, someone asked before whether we did commentate Makuuchi. We don't because we do the podcast, but thanks for asking. It always means a lot when people do want us to keep going. Juryo's where the commentary's at, and that means that Kageaki v Atami Fuji at Juryo 1, who doesn't love that, is the final bout of our commentary today.
Well, Kageaki. Back in Juryo, he was there for a brief stint in July and September last year. For Basho back in the top division, but just has struggled a little bit to maintain himself there. He went 7 and 8 from Maegashira 17 in May and finds himself at the top of Juryo. Kageaki, I feel there's something a little off with his sumo. He's someone in the past, we've often spoken about his mechanical sumo that can be so effective. That seems to have disappeared a little bit for him. The wins feel harder to get. Just not able to move his opponents like he could in the past.
Yeah, we've commented on his almost robot-like forward movements with the arms out, but yet haven't been able to do it. But someone who has been able to absolutely do it is Atami Fuji. You can see some of his fans there. I reckon he's garnering a huge fan club, this guy, because he's such a fun rikishi to watch. Really lovable guy. The right shoulder strapped. So stressful to see these young rikishi, getting so injured so early. He's only 20 years old, but he went 13-2 in May.
I wonder what kind of momentum that'll give him at Juryo 1 now. I mean, that would be such a great thing to be taking in to this Basho at Juryo 1, a chance to return to Makuuchi, where he definitely has unfinished business, to say the least.
Yes.
He was there for one Basho in November last year and went 4-11.
Oh, he'd hate that.
Well, it'd be weighing very, very heavily on his mind, and that wasn't a great Basho for him. It felt like the occasion was just too much.
It sure did, yep. It's so much pressure on him, and I think he's really someone who feels that pressure. It's, all performers or sports people, they feel the pressure to different amounts, and sometimes I think if the sport absolutely flows through you, it's part of your very soul, it's hard to put off that pressure, and that's what I feel with him.
Yeah.
The second time, it's going to be a charm. When he returns, whether it's this time or next time, he's going to do well. That's a prediction I'm willing to make.
Yeah, and I will back you up 100% on that. I think, he's 20 years old. I think his mind still has a lot of maturing to do, but I think that 4-11 back last November would have taught him a lot about himself, a lot about sumo, and I think about how you need to take sumo one day at a time. And I hate to be that guy, but you just need to take it one day at a time.
Yeah, I think you're that guy.
I am that guy. Well, the Gyorji is ready to get the final bout of Juryo underway as we take a long contemplative shot of Kageaki before we take it back to the mid shot onto Atami Fuji. They're really milking the hype for this bout.
He loves to milk the hype.
Oh, doesn't he?
Look at him hopping back and forth. That's new.
He's got that Makuuchi flair, Atami Fuji. He's going to make... Oh, he's got the fist down first, Atami Fuji. Powers forward, trying to get underneath Kageaki, but Kageaki underneath the arms. Flicks Atami Fuji forward. Kageaki just able to keep his feet longer. Wow, that wasn't very pretty.
It wasn't. That would have been such a great win to establish dominance on day one. He whipped his Sagari off Atami Fuji. He's so frustrated there. To win over someone who's just come down from Makuuchi when you want to go up would have been the perfect start for him. But a little bit out of... it was Kageaki moving back there that put him off balance.
Well, there are a couple of things that happened at the same time there. Atami Fuji, in trying to establish a front belt grip, had his hand on the Sagari. Pulling that down may have not helped that forward momentum. Well, as we see, the Makuuchi Rikishi lining up for their Juryo Iri.
Well, strange to see Aoyama down so low.
Let's enjoy this while we can.
Oh,
I
okay,
think.
I could comment on all of this. We could keep going. We're not going to, though. So thank you so much for being with us for Juryo Makuuchi. Very exciting today. So tune into the podcast later. We'll be talking about that. I did want to thank everyone in this chat. You're all so special to us. You know, we know you through different ways, but what unites us all is sumo, and it's so great to have you here with us watching. Juryo, thank you so much. There's a fair few people in here who have contributed to the Sumo Mainichi Sake Fund. We're going to talk about you a bit more on the podcast tonight, but thank you so much. It really means a lot. It helps keeping us operating, actually, because there are a few costs associated with this. So thanks so much for that. If you wanted to contribute and haven't already, it's Sumo Mainichi at gmail.com on PayPal.
I see what you did there.
Yeah,
Yep.
My mind just working too fast as usual.
Too much sumo.
Just too clever.
Yep. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back for day
8.
8.
Yep.
On Juryo. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.
北西方